You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB.
On, shall we? The Hamilton Darts Masters are on next weekend. Among those coming, reigning world champion Luke Humphries.
Mission is complete. Luke Humphries is the greatest darting force on the planet right now. The world number one for the first time is world champion. Incredible stuff to come from 4-2 down and rattle off 5 consecutive sets, because this teenage prodigy did not let up, did not give it him easy. He went out and earned it.
So Luke Humphries is with us. Luke, here's the list I've got in front of me. World champion, world match play champion, only the fourth man to win both events in the same year after Michael Van Gerwen, Peter Wright, Phil Taylor. Pretty good company there. Grand Slam champion, Grand Prix champion, Players Championship champion, World Cup champion, and world number one. Have I missed anything?
I'm not sure anymore, to be honest. There's been so many titles in there. I don't know if you've missed anything or not.
All right, well, let's just say it's plenty. How do you reflect on your last 12 months?
Yeah, it's hard to reflect on it in a way that you can believe it's all possible, to be honest. It's been the most extraordinary 12 months. Like you just reeled all them tournaments off. When people do that, it kind of makes you realise, what you've achieved in such a short amount of time. 3 of the biggest tournaments in my eyes that I've dreamed of winning. It was obviously the World Championships, the Match Play, and the World Cup. And to do them all in the space of 6-7 months, obviously, it's unbelievable. So, I've achieved a lot already in this game, but I want to keep striving for more. I want to keep pushing. I want to win more titles.
Luke, what do you put it down to? What's been behind this incredible run of form?
I don't really know I can pinpoint, but I think the game's always been there over the last 2 to 3 years. That game's been there. I've been showing glimpses of it. It's just the consistency level that lacked. But since I won my first major title back in last October, it gave me that belief and that confidence to go on and keep repeating the feat. And since that moment, I feel like I've not looked back, and I've been much more mentally strong and more consistent. And I feel like the more I play, the better I'll get. So the amount of darts I've thrown over the last 12 months is obviously helping me, and keep playing all the time. It's just building my game to bigger and better levels.
Is that also part of the secret, or not so much the secret, but just the reason that you're just spending hours and hours and hours just throwing darts at the board, the prep that you're putting in?
Yeah, and it's also a few factors of experience. When you're put into these positions of close games, and if you're not really used to playing in many, you can kind of feel a bit nervy, and they sometimes, mostly don't go your way. But when you've experienced being in them moments so many times, they kind of feel natural to you. So when you're involved in these games, like my last major final that I won, which a couple of weeks ago in the Match Play, it was a close sort of game between Michael Van Gerwen and me. But I managed to pull out the bag in the end, because I laid on that experience of matches that I've been in major finals in them sort of scenarios. And I just think it's little moments like that them bits of experience you gain through the years that do help you through. And obviously it's helping me through at the moment.
I guess when we look at the titles you've won, the World Championship must be big. But how much did winning the World Match Play mean to you?
It meant an incredible amount, and it felt that way for me once I hit them in 2 double tops to lift that trophy. It is the second biggest major in our sport after the World Championships. It's the most prestigious one. It's the same trophy that was held in 1994 by Larry Butler. So that's a very prestigious one for us all to have. Every other trophy in the PDC has been changed or differentiated. The one for the Match Play has always stayed the same. So it's very prestigious and an amazing venue in the Winter Gardens. It's just, if you ask any player except for the Worlds, they'll tell you that's the most exciting event, and everybody wants to win. So for me to do the same in one calendar year, it's something beyond my wildest dreams. But I've worked incredibly hard over the last sort of 4 to 5 years, so I'm reaping the rewards now, which is fantastic for myself.
Have you watched back the double tops a few times?
Yeah, funnily enough, I watched it back a few times. It's one of them moments. I think it's a pinch me moment. You got to watch it back a few times to really understand how it feels to see that moment and relive it. And yeah, I watched that night. I watched it back quite a few times, because I couldn't really believe how I achieved such a great tournament win on such a crazy sort of finish. But I played a fantastic tournament. I think I had 500 averages throughout the whole tournament. Only Phil Taylor's ever done that and won it. So yeah, I've put myself in some great company over the last couple of weeks.
You certainly have. When you're throwing like that, Luke, when it's going in all the time, are you in some sort of flow state? Athletes talk about being in a flow state where it just happens automatically, or are you still consciously throwing each and every dart?
No, you're right. You do get in this flow state, and I think that I'm one of them top players that do. It in a way, when it starts to feel like you can't miss, that's when you feel like you're in your flow state. You feel like you're not going to miss a treble, and when you feel that confident when you're walking up to the board that you're not going to miss, 9 times out of 10 you don't. Your body must be at a comfortable stage and a free flowing throwing stage. That's what makes you feel like it. Whereas sometimes if you're not going up there thinking you can't miss, you're a bit more uptight and your body's more tight, and you're not throwing your natural game. But you're right what you say. When you're in that free flow and natural ability feeling, yeah, sometimes you just don't feel like you can miss, and that's when I put in my best performances.
Must be a nice feeling. Take us back, Luke, to the World Championship final against Luke Littler. What stands out most when you think back to that night?
Just the spectacle. I felt like it was the youngest combined age in any world final in history. The attention was obviously on Luke Littler as well, because he was doing crazy things, wasn't he, at such a young age. And the pressure might have been not on my shoulders as much as it would have been if I'd have played someone else, because I'd just become the world number one then the game before. But I just remember thinking to myself before I played, this is your chance to really, go on and achieve your dream and just leave everything out on the dartboard. Don't walk. I don't want to be walking off the stage and regretting it if I'd lost, that I didn't, try my hardest or didn't put that effort in that I needed. And, when I was 4-2 down, in my mind, I just thought, just give it everything now. You've got nothing to lose. And I reeled off the next 5 sets in unbelievable fashion. And, it was a great party at the night time as well. It was just the most incredible 24 hours. And, it's just something that you want to relive again. So, goals for me is to retain that World Championship this year. Or should I say it will be next year in 2025.
Luke Littler, you mentioned him there. He's got a lot of attention this past year or so, hasn't he? Having burst onto the scene at such a young age. Do you sometimes, given all the titles you've won, do you sometimes think, hang on, guys, you're looking at the wrong Luke?
Not really, because we both have our own sort of different things about the world. Obviously, I've dominated the sport for the last 12 to 18 months on the board, and Luke's dominating the sport off the board in the popularity. And he will do that. I'll never match his popularity, but what I can match is the level of darts. And I play this sport to win major titles, and Luke's obviously new to everything, but he's got this incredible amount of popularity that if I had at 17, I'd be enjoying it as well. So yep. Fair play to him. I hope he goes on and mixes with the top celebrities, because that's where he is at the moment. But he's also a fantastic player as well. But my mind is just fully set on being the best version of myself in darts. I've also got a family at home. I have a lot more commitments than he has. His commitments are non-existent. He can just enjoy himself, play darts, and meet loads of celebrities. Mine's completely different. But we're both doing really well. I think over the last sort of 7 months, we pretty much dominated the sport together. He's won loads of titles, I've won loads of titles, and if the rest of them behind us don't start getting better, then we'll carry on doing it ourselves.
Were you aware of him? We've only just become aware of him really last 12 months or so since, as I say, he's burst onto the scene. Were you aware of him before we all were?
Yeah. I met Luke about 4 years before. We played in a local competition, and he was 12 years old at the time. And I beat him 3-2, and my God, he gave me a fright. He played unbelievable. I think he took out a 164, and I think I had to take out a decent finish while he was sat on a decent finish to win 3-2. Now, that was when he was 12, and I was a professional then, and I won that competition, but he was my toughest challenger. So I knew about him then, and I'd sort of followed what he'd been doing over the years. When he was like 13, 14, he was winning a lot of youth competitions. So I'm thinking, I keep my eye on him. And then, at the back end of last year, he was winning Moda Series, Super Series, which is a smaller organisation that are helping the amateurs game. And he was winning them against great players. And I knew he was going to play well in the Worlds. I didn't expect him to make the final, I must admit, but I expected him to have a good run. But he exceeded all expectations. And the no fear that he showed throughout that World Championships is what was most admirable to me. I thought it was just unbelievable. And I can imagine if I was 16 walking up on that big stage, I would have felt a bit apprehension or a bit nervous. But he didn't show that. So that's a side of him, regardless of his ability, that's absolutely insane as well.
You talked before, Luke, about big checkouts and 100 plus checkouts. Is that something that you work hard on? Yes,
I do. I work on that. Not loads, but I do work on it. I think that one thing that's improved in my game the last 2 years is my finishing. My scoring power has always been there, but unfortunately, my doubles have let me down in the wrong times, and that is what separates the best from the lower ranked players. And for me, I think that I've managed to work hard on my finishing and my high finishing and hitting the right checkouts at the right time. If you need a big checkout here, and really hurts the player if you take it out in that most annoying time. If you're 3-all, 4-all. To get away, get a lead, So I've really worked on that in my game, and I feel like that's something that I'm excelling in now. But like you said, I have been working hard on my big finishes, because they do get me out of trouble sometimes.
Well, you're going well at the moment, but it's been a journey, hasn't it? Like a lot of top sports people, this hasn't just happened overnight for you. Your journey hasn't been without its challenges along the way. Did you always believe, though, Luke, you could do what you've done?
Yeah, my journey was really the nice way to do it. It started off here and it sort of gently went up, and I started off as a youth playing on the development tour on the PDC, and I earned my right through winning that in I think it was 2018, so it was about 7 years ago now, nearly. Obviously played fantastic on that. There was the likes of who in this competition as well. Dimitri Vandenberg was in that, and I managed to beat him to the top spot in that, so I knew the potential was there. And then obviously first year I made the quarterfinals of the World Championship. Second year I made the quarterfinals of the World Championship, and obviously COVID hit, and that made you take a bit of a step back, to be honest, because I couldn't play regularly. But for me, it helped. I lost a lot of weight in COVID, after in between COVID, and I come back a much more fresher, better player, and obviously made my first major final just as we were sort of coming out of COVID a little bit. And then I never looked back from that moment. That was the key in 2021 when I made the UK Open final. That was when the surge of me going on an upwards curve really did start. And I look back to that moment. I think that was the making of me.
All right, favourite double? Let's say, I don't know, you got $1 million to hit a double. What are you aiming for on the board?
Definitely double 16. Yeah, it's always been my my go-to double. I always try and leave it, but I feel pretty comfortable on tops, 10s, 12s, 18s, 16, 8. Fours, all these doubles, and that's a key thing. You do need to feel comfortable on the most important double. But if you used to, give me 3 darts at a double for $1 million, it would definitely be double 16, because I think I hit that the most.
All right, fair enough. Luke, congratulations on a wonderful last 12 to 18 months, a raft of titles and many more to come. We can't wait to see you at the Hamilton Darts Masters next weekend. Really appreciate you chatting to us.
Yeah, really looking forward to next week. Thank you very much for having me.
No, thank you for joining us, Luke. Luke Humphries, world #1 darts player, going to be at the New Zealand Darts Masters next weekend, Glowbox Arena in Hamilton, along with a host of really well-known names for those who follow the sport. Luke Humphries, Michael Smith, Gerwyn Price, Rob Cross, Peter Wright, Luke Littler is going to be there, Dimitri Vandenberg, Damon Heta, and leading the Oceania charge is New Zealand #1 Hope Puha, who's going to join us on the show tomorrow.
For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday, or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.